There comes a moment in life when you have to decide, are you playing it safe or are you all in? This is All In Empowerment, the podcast where we crush fears and step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I'm your host, Betsy Martell, coach and adventurer, here to push you past your limits and unlock your full potential. It's time to level up your life because empowerment isn't just a mindset, it's a commitment. So are you ready? Because in this space, we don't tiptoe, we go all in. Okay, well, welcome to All In Empowerment. Today I have with me, ta-da, my sister Jane.
Hi, everybody.
So Jane is number 3 of 5. We were all girls, no brothers. And today we're going to talk about her journey through alcoholism and battling cancer.
Yep.
So we might get emotional. So everybody just, buckle in.
Yeah. Go grab some tissues. We'll give you a minute. No,
Right.
Just kidding.
Well, I got tissues right here, just in case.
There you go.
Just so you know, this is really weird that I still have these. So these were the tissues that were given to me as Adam and I were leaving the hospital.
No way.
Yeah. And she said here, and she went like this, and I grabbed one tissue out, and she looked at me. And so what I'm referencing is I was there when my mom died in the hospital, and I was finally, said all my goodbyes, and I was leaving the hospital with my son. And to say the least, I was slightly emotional. And so I picked one tissue out, and she goes, "Oh no, honey, you can have the
need
whole
the whole
box."
box. Yeah.
I'm like, "Good call, honey."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's good. I need the whole box." So anyway, I still have this cute little box of tissues.
It is precious.
I know, isn't it? So anyway, so that was already on the emotional notes, but
Yeah.
so anyway, so I'm so glad that you're here today. Tell me, we'll go over real quick. We grew up in a dysfunctional family like most of us do, right? We're not special in any way.
No.
Everybody's dysfunctional family is different in some way, very special in some ways. And so, I always find it fascinating because there's 5 of us and we all went through it differently, right?
Everybody reacts different because
Correct.
I believe everyone's born with a personality, and therefore their personality will react according to, who and what they were originally at birth.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do believe in nurture, but I think, I think there's that intrinsic nature that you're born with, that personality, and it leads you through most of your life, you know. And you can train yourself to react differently, but you're that what you're born with is what comes out.
Yeah.
Especially at the ages that we were doing it, we didn't have any training or any other different, coping mechanisms other than what we were born with at that point.
Well, I'm glad you said coping mechanisms, because that is one thing that I'll just say for myself lacked severely. And as a young child, I was scared. I swear I was born scared, because I can remember as far back as 4 years old having anxiety just going to kindergarten, but in an abnormal way. Not what a typical, I'm scared to go to school. I'm talking like totally freaked out. We have to do something about this kid because there's something going on with her that isn't normal type of fear.
Right.
Is what I was suffering from.
But it was, and I don't want to say ignored because that's a really poor way to put it. However, back then, all that stuff was kind of swept under the rug. Like, she'll grow out of it, or you know what I'm saying. It wasn't really tended to, looked at it. You weren't helped, in the way that you could process it or overcome it. And you were tiny too. That's all I ever heard. I mean, I don't really remember when you were tiny because I was probably a toddler at the time. But weren't you like the tiniest kid going into first grade?
Yeah, I was so small they had to make a special uniform for me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, things have changed drastically. But we're not going to talk about that today.
But that could somewhat play into that fear, right? Because if you go into kindergarten and you're the tiniest kid there, I mean, don't you think that
I don't know what that was exactly, if it had anything to do with my size. I did feel less than. I felt that I wasn't I felt like I was different from all the other kids, and that difference was that I wasn't good enough.
Okay.
Okay, and so it was insecure, fear, and I was told by a therapist when because he's like, bring me back as far as you can, and I did, and he said, Jane, that had a lot to do with your parents both being alcoholic. A child who's that of an alcoholic usually feels orphaned. They don't feel secure, because the parents themselves are at a disconnect.
Right. Right.
If that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes sense. I mean, you have in a way attachment disorder. But like for me, I've been going to self-development and really kind of digging into all that stuff too. And the way I put it was, I didn't feel like my parents were available because
Right.
they were, like you said, they were drinking, but they also were at each other's throats.
Exactly.
And all that other stuff that was going on. And I felt like, well, I can't go to them. Like they can't handle this, they can barely handle themselves,
Right.
let alone handle my problems. And again, it could have been a story that I was telling myself, but, I think there was truth to it. Right.
I can tell you by experience that there's truth to it, because when I was drinking at a certain point, I was putting food on the table. I was signing school field trip slips. I was looking over homework. I was cleaning. I was thinking that I was functioning.
Right.
And my oldest daughter said, she kind of shook her head, and I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "You're not here." And I said, "What do you mean I'm not here? I'm standing right here. What do you need?" She's like, "You're not here." She knew I was drinking, and she knew that took me away from her
Right. Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah. Because you were,
Sure, I was there physically, but emotionally and mentally, I was not available to her.
doing the doing. Right?
Right.
You weren't being there for them. You were just doing the things that needed to get done that a mom would do.
Right.
You know.
And children are not stupid. I've heard of a lot of people who are in recovery and saying, "Oh, I'm glad my child, never really saw me drunk." They know at a very young age when you're drinking. They may not know it's alcohol that's causing your behavior, but they know something's up.
Right. Right.
They're not dumb.
Yeah.
They're very smart.
Now, I remember because you and I were living in Colorado together.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being at your house more than once where you would spray Windex and clean the countertop over and over and over
That was
again.
a control issue.
Yes. And it was funny because as I was kind of processing it, I was thinking to myself, why does she do that? It's already clean and she's cleaning it again. And your house was always very clean. Like you had the formal living room that I laughed you should have put up like red velvet ropes because,
Right.
she vacuumed herself out of it and, nobody was really allowed to go walk on it and make marks in the carpet.
Right.
And it was really that was the one thing you had control over.
Yeah, I was so my insides weren't matching my outsides or vice versa, and I needed to have some kind of control, which I had none of my life, emotionally especially, and I had no I didn't have anybody I could rely on, or I was falling out of a plane and the parachute wasn't opening, right? So I felt my life was a mess, but I could at least clean my home and put that into order. At least something in my life was in order.
Right.
Because everything was so out of order.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why I did what I did. You're not the first person. I had people come and say, "This is kind of ridiculous," or, I feel like I'm in a show home, or I don't feel comfortable in your home because it is so clean.
Right.
And
Yeah, I don't want to touch anything or mess anything up.
And
Yeah.
that's when I found out, because I was in therapy, and I asked my therapist, what is that? Do I have OCD? And he's like, "I don't think so, Jane. Maybe you can explain." And I said, "I think it's a control thing."
Yeah.
Because I just didn't have any control.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I get either very emotional or angry, that's what I go to is cleaning.
Yeah, because we gotta fix something.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, it gets that energy out, right?
Uh huh.
And it's like kind of brainless. But again, it keeps order. It makes
Right.
me feel good because now something's in
Yeah,
order, you know?
because I think too, growing up in a family of alcoholism, there's a lot of chaos and drama, and I didn't want to live like that anymore, and I didn't know how to get rid of it. Although it was a place I felt comfortable, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah.
So when my house was clean and it was perfect, then I knew I could drink, if that makes any sense.
Oh, no, that totally makes sense because you've done what you're supposed to do for the
Right.
day.
And now
Like your
it's
job is over. So now you can go on to,
well,
you
I
know,
was I was taught work really hard and do what you need to do, and then reward yourself with alcohol.
yeah. Yeah.
Was That's how it all went down, and I as I was telling you before the podcast that I didn't know any different how to deal with life without alcohol. It didn't matter if I was sad or happy or celebrating or mourning. It didn't matter what my emotion was. I couldn't handle my emotions sober.
Yes. I,
I could only handle it if I had the buzz on from alcohol because everything in my life was surrounded by have a drink.
yeah.
It's time to drink.
When did
Good, bad,
you,
or ugly.
when did you start drinking?
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like, I think I remember, because I'm younger, so I don't remember everything, but I remember you drinking at school.
Yeah, I started drinking. I think I was born an alcoholic. It is a disease. 1956, the American Medical Association did declare it as a disease. I don't think it's something that I developed.
Right.
It's
Yep.
not like I developed this rash and it was something I was born with. And if you remember, I said I was very fearful as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a characteristic of an alcoholic. That's part of their personality. Is they're somebody who has no control and is in a lot of fear. Although we don't present ourselves that way when we're under the influence.
Right.
We're
Well,
very confident. People call it liquid courage.
right.
And that's what it gives us. But when I was in school, so what I'm trying to say is that the minute I started drinking, I never drank like a normal person. I didn't know a cutoff. I drank till I passed out since 13. And then, which is the description of an alcoholic is once you start, you cannot stop. And the only way I would stop was to pass out. And then when I wasn't drinking, I built this what was called obsession of the mind, where I couldn't wait to get the next drink.
Right. Right.
And so that's how it's real simple. That's the two descriptions. Everybody like tries to make it into this big, well, it's because, of this, that, or the other. No, an alcoholic is simply, once you take it into your system, there's an allergy that is set off, they call it, and it's the phenomena of craving. I can't help it. I would like to just have to do with you, but I have this incredible craving and that I can't control, so I'm going to have more, okay?
Right.
And then when you cut me off, my body, wants more. It'll shake, it'll rattle, I'll throw up, I'll whatever until you give me more. So it's mental, physical, and then we'll get into the spiritual side of it too. But so by the time I was 17, I was already drinking pretty much around the clock. And I was having detox symptoms of shaking, and I did ask for help. But the help, when I asked for it, they rolled their eyes and said, "Oh, Jane, just, good God, not another problem." We weren't allowed in our home to be sick or sad or anything in the negative. We always had to be happy and up, and you weren't allowed to show emotion of any sort other than if it was positive.
Right.
And I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Everything's great when deep down you are suffering to no end. And so I was I was at school and I got caught. I was so drunk that they brought us into the principal's office, and the principal said to me, "Do you think you need Alateen?" And I said, "No." And I was 15. I said, "Oh, no, you misunderstand. I don't normally drink during the week. I only drink on the weekends." What 15-year-old is drinking just on the weekends and she's got it under control, her drinking?
Right.
That's abnormal. But that was the household I was raised in because it was given to us. It was it was okay.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was cool. That's what you do.
Right. Even just, I say this, in the state of Wisconsin alone, it's cultural almost.
Yeah.
Drink Wisconsinably. It's an entire,
Right.
it's a thing, and it's accepted, it's celebrated. It's not necessarily looked, and actually at times it's, oh, you're not drinking? Like, what's wrong?
There's something wrong with you if you're not drinking.
Yeah.
Well, usually you get that response with somebody who themselves is either a heavy drinker or they themselves have a problem. I've noticed people when I say I don't, they don't care.
Yeah.
They really don't care if I drink or not. It's not important to them.
Right.
But if I'm getting, well, gosh, that's odd, it's because they themselves have been in an environment with alcohol just like I have.
Right. And they don't understand. Yeah, they don't get the whole you don't drink. That doesn't even make sense.
Odd.
That's what we do.
Which I get them because I was invited in college to go to my boyfriend's house, and I found it very odd that his mother wasn't drinking while she was making dinner. And then the dad walked in the door, grabbed a Miller Genuine Draft, and sipped on it before, during, and after dinner, one bottle. And I realized that these people weren't abnormal. Where I came from was abnormal.
Right. Well, you said to me when we lived in Denver, I think you were watching the boys, and I was working, and I came to pick the boys up after work from your place. And so after a few times of this happening, you said, "I have to tell you that I find it really odd, or at least I know you're not an alcoholic, because you, number one, sometimes turn down a drink,"
right?
Which was so weird to you. Like, I worked all day, and then I came home, and I was like, "Nah, I don't need a drink. I'm just going to take the boys home," and whatever.
Right.
And then the other one was that you said to me, you can have one or two drinks and then you're done. And you're like, you looked at me and you're like, that is so weird.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I still find, and I'll notice if somebody, is stirring their drink and they're not really drinking it. I'm like, what's the point? Like, why are we doing this? This is odd, I do find that odd. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't aspire to be one. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you, I went through a long period where I hated the fact that I was angry that I was an alcoholic, because I'm gonna read something real quick, and it'll explain why I hate being an alcoholic. And the reason I'm reading it is because it says it so beautifully what's involved in this illness. And it says it like this: an illness of this sort, and we come to believe it an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him, and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcohol illness, for with it there goes annihilation of all the things worthwhile in life.
Yeah.
It engulfs all those lives that touch the sufferers. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase. You can increase the list. Isn't this enough? But
Yeah.
it can go on.
Yeah.
And it's a disease that, I've hurt a lot of people. I've broken a lot of hearts because people just couldn't put up with me anymore because I would let them down because they would show up and I was drunk, or I couldn't show up because I was drunk.
Yeah.
Annihilation of things worthwhile in life. I couldn't be a part of celebrations and weddings or funerals need be because I was too drunk to show up. I couldn't show up for life anymore. I couldn't work. I was unemployable. I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't be a friend. I couldn't be a sister. I couldn't be a daughter. I was a nothing.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because alcohol just it basically it steals everything from you. I heard a saying once that says, I gave away everything for one thing.
Yeah.
But today, I'm giving one thing away for everything. And that's how I'm living my life today.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But it took years, of
how many times did you go? Do you even know, like, how many times you went into recovery and then broke recovery and into recovery, and like how many
18 years
18 years?
in and out of recovery. The longest I would get would be maybe 2 years, but then I was under probation of some sort, maybe to a DUI, or maybe according to, my license that I carry in order to be employed. That's the only reason today I'm sober, free and clean of anybody holding the thumb over me. There's also, when we talk about the obsession, I had this great obsession that somehow someday I could drink like a normal person. Because it's like, why do you keep drinking when the house is going to come down? You're going to bring the house down. The world's going to fall apart. You put alcohol in your system, but you continue to do it. Why is that? Because I'm sick. Because I'm an alcoholic. The alcoholic thinks that I got this. I can do this. Someday I can drink like a normal person. So
Right.
Today is the day. I would go to a liquor store and I would just buy this box that had 4 bottles of wine. Each bottle carried 1 glass. So I'm like 4 glasses of wine. Okay, that's still a lot. But for me, I'm like, oh, that's moderate, right? But whatever, we won't go there. But I would think that's all I needed. Well, it's like we talked about. My body needs more. That phenomenon of craving would set in. And next thing you know, I'm back at the liquor store. But that's how I would fool myself, thinking like, I just need 1 or 2. I can do this.
Would you say that it's similar to like overeating or anything?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But I've never, it looked like I've experienced that. My size right now has a lot to do with my cancer. Well, let me explain. We won't get into that quite yet. But so I don't really know if it's the same, if it's considered a disease.
Okay.
I do know that alcoholism is a medically declared, announced disease.
Okay.
I don't know if overeating is. I don't know if gambling is.
Well,
I'm not
that's
sure.
what I was wondering, if it would like go under the umbrella of addiction is a disease.
I think you're right. No, addiction has been. So you're probably right.
Yeah.
Those all probably do fall under a disease because they did declare in 1987, that addiction is an illness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, because I've talked about it before. I love when people say like you can't, marijuana is safe because you can't be addicted to marijuana. I'm like, bullshit. First of all, you can be addicted to just about anything.
Yes, you can.
And I've seen people addicted to marijuana where the moment that even before their feet hit the ground, they were smoking marijuana and they smoked it all day long,
Right.
as a coping mechanism, right? Because they
Right.
could not smoke, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, bullshit. If food can be an addiction, if sex can be an addiction, if gambling can be an addiction, why can't marijuana be an addiction? That's just a cop out,
Yeah.
It might not be as addictive as alcohol,
Right.
maybe, but it's still addictive,
Yeah. No, it's definitely but I just stay in the just on the line of alcohol. It's all I know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's all I've experienced, and it's a progressive disease. My drinking in my 20s wasn't the same as in my 30s, 40s. As we went on, it progressed.
Yeah.
And when I first decided, I need some help, I'm going to go into recovery, I wasn't drinking in the morning. I wasn't drinking around the clock. I was drinking every night, but I was still drinking alcoholically. I drank once I started, I couldn't stop till I passed out. And then the next day I would obsess till that 5 o'clock came around again. But at the end of my drinking, like if I took a drink today, I could pick up a drink in August and I'll come to in September.
Right.
And
right.
that's not an exaggeration.
So, okay. So explain to me, because I've always wondered this in my mind. Do alcoholics just not have severe hangovers? Because like, if I drank until I passed out, I'd be so hungover the next day. That would be enough for me to like say, I never need to do that again. Right. I might do it a couple more times, but trust me, I would learn my lesson. I would never do it again because being that sick and feeling that bad. So do you not feel that, or how does that go?
Oh, we'll go through the torture of a hangover and the shakes and the misery of it, and say to ourselves, "Oh, I'm never doing that again." But bullshit, we forget. A week to a month ago, our brain we know how to forget that and how bad it was. Our brain will also, the disease, I shouldn't really say my brain, but it does center in my mind. The disease tells me I don't have a disease. The disease tells me that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
Right.
Or blocks it out completely.
Right. Like a trauma. Yeah.
Yeah. But when at the end of my drinking, I wasn't suffering hangovers. I went right into detox.
Into detox.
Okay, so you have a hangover.
Right.
But then detox is where the body is shaking and the body has to have it. And it could be deadly.
Right.
Because
wouldn't detox be worse than a hangover? And yet you would keep doing it anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that of a hangover. My eyes would come to, in a minute I was already shaking and dry heaving, and until you put alcohol in my system, I'd calm down and stop throwing up, and I would feel better.
Yeah.
Because my body needed it. People need to be real careful when they want to stop drinking, if they are somebody who has drank a lot of volume of alcohol over a short period of time and repetitively, because the body's reaction to it in the brain, it's not getting what it needs, and so it can cause seizures, heart attacks, stroke. So you have to be real careful of. It's the only drug that you can die from detoxing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, like heroin, nothing. No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So now, the other thing too is that from the outside, alcoholics look like inherent liars.
I've been told I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief because I'm an alcoholic, but I'm going to tell you something. I lied about my disease, but I certainly wouldn't walk up to you and blatantly just lie to you about something that had nothing to do with my drinking.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But if it came down to drinking, well, remember though, I said that the disease tells me I don't have it.
Right.
we're in denial because the disease is saying you don't have it. So yes, we're lying, but we don't really mean to, if that makes any
No,
sense.
that's where my question came
Right.
from. So when you said that, when you said, the disease makes me believe I don't have a disease, that's when the
Right.
question came that, from the outside, because we can see it, right?
Right.
The disease.
Yeah, but I'm
Um,
fine.
Right. But yeah, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Well,
you're
plus,
not lying on purpose. It's
no.
yeah, you're lying to
Well,
stay alive
remember I
almost.
said I got four glasses of wine. That's moderation.
Right.
To you, you're full of shit, right? You're lying
Yeah.
because that's a lot of wine. Usually people have one glass at night, maybe two. But I was gonna say lost my track of thought, but it was about fooling ourselves into think. Well, what I was gonna say is, um, my alcoholic life was the only life I knew, so I think I'm okay and it's normal. And when I decided to get sober, to be honest with you, I didn't really want to be sober, but it came down to I had to surrender. I lost the fight, so I had to be sober. What I really wanted was all the horror, everything I just read there, all the chaos that comes with the disease to go away.
Yes.
But in order for it to go away, I had to get rid of the alcohol, which meant I had to get sober. But I was afraid to be sober because I didn't know how to be sober.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everybody says like, oh, I hit rock bottom, right? And there were times when either you told me a story or somebody in the family told me a story about you, and I was like, that's got to be rock bottom.
Right?
And it wasn't. So did you have a rock bottom, or was it like, how would you say that you came to like, okay, this time it's going to stick. This time I mean it. This time I'm going to do it.
That's a really good question. I've had other people ask me that question too, and I'm not really sure. All I do know, because the last time I drank was definitely a rock bottom. I had negative $500 in the bank. I didn't have a job. I lost my apartment, so I had nowhere to live. I was homeless. And I think I became what's called desperate. I had to have this gift of desperation. It had to be so bad. I was actually trying to die because I was sick of being an alcoholic. I hated my life being an alcoholic. And so I thought, you know what? I'd rather be dead. But I wasn't dying. I kept coming to. So I had no other choice than to, okay, I'll keep living. So I'm going to have to figure out how to live. And this is not it. And so I had a lot of rock bottoms. I mean,
so if you're homeless, you've got negative $500 in the bank. How are you getting drunk?
oh, I would have people Venmo me money, and I would tell them it's for food.
Okay.
I needed food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So again, a lie, right? So when those people,
and it's about drinking,
right? Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, oh sure, and that's cheating and stealing.
Yeah.
And that's what I did to because I'll go to any lengths to get my alcohol. I had to have it. It gets to the point where you have to drink, and I had no choice. I had lost the choice and drink, and that's where my life was, and I was miserable, and it drove me to the gates of insanity or death, because when I look back at when I was drinking, I'm like, who the hell was that? I was out of my mind. I was crazy.
Yeah.
Downright crazy. And that's where it had taken me to. And I didn't want that anymore.
So how did you get to rehab or recovery? Did you go into rehab
I had friends from a recovery group that were working real hard to help me. But, they just couldn't. They did everything in their power. But I still have my best friend from college who's not an alcoholic, said, she researched and found a rehab center that I could go to on scholarship because I had no money.
Right.
And she said, you either do this or we can hang up right now and you can lose my number and I never want to talk to you again. Because, like I read, dealing with an alcoholic is absolutely horrifying. It sucks the life out of you. She was done. And I said, okay, I'll go. And I went to a treatment center. And when I was at the treatment center, my mind started to clear. I was in front of a nurse, a therapist, and a psychiatrist. They were, kind of assessing me. And I said, you know what? Can we just for a minute forget that I'm an alcoholic and forget alcoholism for a minute as my number one problem? Alcohol is but a symptom. There's a lot more going on with this human being. They're using alcohol as a solution. And yes, there is a physical addiction to it. I said, I'm out of my mind crazy. There's something wrong with me mentally. We need to figure it out because why in God's name would someone be in and out of treatment for 18 years? And their wives, how many times I had to rebuild my life, tear it down, rebuild my life, it's insane.
Yeah, nobody would
Who
choose that.
lives like that?
Yeah, nobody would choose that.
No. And I said, so you three need to figure something out in the next 29 days. Or I'm going to shoot myself because I can't live like this anymore. And what they did come up with is I do suffer from a mental illness called major depressive disorder. And I recalled how I would be sober for a while, but I would go into this depression that I couldn't get out of, this darkness, and I would ask people, look what I'm going, help me. Nobody could help me. They're not professionals. And next thing you know, I was drinking again. I've been to a liquor store. I've been sober and I've been drunk, find myself drunk. I don't remember going to the liquor store.
Jeez.
It's because the depression was so great. So I do want to get the word out there too, that yes, alcoholism and get that treated, which I do, but I also treat the mental illness. I have to treat both. If I don't treat my mental illness, you can bank I'm going to be drinking again, and I don't want to drink. And to drink is to die, and I don't want to go there anymore. Yeah. So my mental illness is just important to take care of too.
So, okay, so now you've gone through rehab recovery. You're sober for how long before you find out that you have cancer?
3 months. 3 months. Yeah, I like I told you, I wanted to die, right?
Right.
So when I first get into treatment and recovery, I'm still thinking, God, why did I have to keep coming to? I got to rebuild my life. This is a nightmare, and I really wish I would have died. Well, through working the recovery and the program, I discovered that there is a higher power, and it's not me. And that higher power is the one that's been carrying me this long because I should have been dead a long time ago. And there's a reason for me to live. And suddenly, I wanted to live. So great, here we go. We're on our way. And next thing you know, I'm in the shower and I lift my arm and I'm like, something doesn't feel right. I look down, there's this big red bump on the side of my breast. And I thought, uh-oh. Went to the doctor. They're like, you need to go to we need to biopsy this ASAP, and we need a mammogram ASAP. And they rushed me through and got an oncologist, and they said, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. which means it's in your liver, your lymph nodes, and your bones. And I thought, really, God? You're kidding right now. Because for so long I wanted to die. I finally want to live. And you're like, oh, hell no. You don't get that, Jane. We're bringing you home. And so the first thing that I wanted, it was kind of crazy. I like ran out of the hospital running to my car. I wanted to be with my girls. And I wanted to, like, we need to live every moment and we need to, because that's all I could think about.
Right.
That's all I wanted to do. And then I thought, oh my God, am I going to die without being able to make amends to the people I've hurt through the years because of my disease? Give me an opportunity. And God has, because I should have been dead, well, this year, because they only gave me 5 years. And the cancer did come back and did overcome the chemo I was on. And so I said, literally, my breast was being eaten alive. It was a wide wound. Just, if I could, would never show a picture. It's gruesome. But cancer is vicious.
Yeah.
And it was eating me alive. And I thought, oh, okay, this is the end. And the oncologist said, oh, no. They just came out with a new, more strong and powerful drug. It's going to be great. So now here I am, losing my hair again and on chemo again. But, I do it because I can't say no to it.
Right. Right.
And I know there's an opportunity. And I have 3 daughters.
It's almost made you fight harder.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Fight for sobriety harder, because you're like, you know what? Now I need to stay alive. What the hell is going on?
Well, let me tell you about sobriety and how I feel about it today. Remember I said I didn't really want to. I wouldn't give it up for the world. Honest to God. It is the best way to live. And the one thing that keeps me sober, the strongest thing that keeps me sober, is gratitude. To be grateful for every moment of my life. It's a beautiful sunny day, thank you. Or it's raining. I love when it rains, beautiful. I get to go to work now who was unemployed. I get to have friends. I get to be with my daughters. I get to be with my sisters, again, who I've been alienated from for 10 years?
Yeah.
And everything to me is a gift.
Yeah.
I get to live life. I like I said, remember I said I couldn't go anywhere. I was held hostage in an apartment, drunk around the clock.
Right.
But today I get to live. So to me, it's not like I didn't get the old me back. You know how we say like, oh, I want the old me back.
Right.
Bring back the old Jane. Bullshit. She was full of fear. She didn't know how to handle life. She was just, riddled with what will the future bring, and oh, my past sucks, and I don't want her back.
No.
I want every day in the moment is so special to me. And, I'm making my past different now by creating a really good day today.
What's so different about you is that you're not the victim anymore.
No.
And
well,
and that's huge, because in the past you would talk about, well, I'm like this because this is what happened to me in the past, because my parents didn't do this right or whatever.
Right.
And it was always somebody else's fault that you were in the predicament that you were in, right? And now I don't see that from you at all. Now it's just like you just said, I get to change the past, right?
Right.
You get to look at it in a different light, right? You can't
I'm creating new memories.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would you say, so my friend who is a recovering alcoholic, he used to say to me all the time, and it took me going to these self-development, seminars and doing these experiential things, right? To live in forgiveness. He would always say he was big into gratitude, right? He would talk about that, but then he would talk about forgiveness. And I was like, that's so easy to say, right? Like, to say I forgive somebody is one thing, but to really feel it, to really know it, to really live it
Right.
is a completely different thing. And so I would always say to him, like, oh, that's really great. I just don't know how to do it. Right.
Right.
And when I finally figured out, I shouldn't say figured out how to do it, but when I really experienced forgiveness for people in my life, but also ultimately for myself, was like freedom. It was like,
huge.
yeah, it was like, oh my God, like it was like weight had, been lifted off my back. And,
Well, you hit it on the head. It's the key to freedom.
yeah, yeah.
When
So have you forgiven yourself?
yeah, I would say, but it's just recent.
Okay.
I've been sober over 5 years, but just recently I'm starting to forgive myself. Someone said to me, we don't regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And I'm like, maybe that'll happen for you, but I got a lot of regrets. But the problem with that is my regrets kept me drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be real careful of that.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me to forgive you. It's okay for you to do certain things, but for me, it's not okay. Well, that's ego,
Right. Yeah.
That's saying that, I'm above you. So it's not acceptable for me to show up for work 3 sheets to the wind and start cleaning people's teeth. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
That's unacceptable. You tell me you did that, I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's
You'll
part
be
of the
fine.
disease.
Right.
We'll get past it.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is I have to right size my ego. I'm neither better nor am I less. I'm just right with you there. You and I, same level. And so that, and the regret I have is I had 3 children. And each time that child was born, there was a love, and
Mm-hmm.
that is inexplicable. It's not a love that you have for your husband or a friend or a coworker or it's a love that's in itself so strong, and you would never hurt that child, and you never see that baby want to see that child hurt, but yet you did. You made them feel scared. You made them feel embarrassed. You made them feel abandoned. I have to live with that. How am I going to do that? I have to forgive myself.
Yeah.
I have to remember I was sick. Would I do that today to them? No. I would never think of doing it. Did I do it to them? Yeah, I did. But do they know that I did that to them and I'm sorry? They do.
Yeah.
Do they want to sit in it with me, or do they want to move? They're so excited that I'm sober that that's all they care about.
Right. They just want to move forward.
And that's all I need then to forgive me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because why waste time?
Oh, I wasted too much time.
Right. So why waste time looking in the past or regretting what happened? I mean, that doesn't do anything. It doesn't heal anything.
You're so right. That's exactly it. It's a waste of energy when you could be doing something useful. And there it is again, is the self-centeredness.
Mm-hmm.
I sit in self-pity. I sit in future trip, or I past trip. What good am I to you?
Right.
Am I out there being of service to anyone? No, I'm sitting in my own little self-pity.
Right.
Good for you. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Because half the time I worry about something that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying I don't sit there and, think of the future. No, God, what if this happens? Or maybe I should, and get kind of anxious over it. I do. But I have to reel it back in and remember that anything I've thought I predicted would happen never freaking does.
Right. Yep.
It always turns out completely different. As long as I'm aligning myself in God's will and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Then my future's going to be okay.
And a lot of it is the energy you put out is the energy you attract.
That's true.
And I think if more people would realize that, on even a little scale, not even the big scale, right?
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. If you go out, and this is a really small example, but like if you go out to the grocery store and you're not having a good day, you don't feel social, you're just like, I'm here just because I need to get eggs and
Right.
bread, really didn't even want to get out of the house today, whatever, right? That is the energy that you will get back 99% of the
Yeah.
time, okay?
They'll
No,
they'll run your bread twice,
right?
right?
But no, they won't even smile at you. They'll just be like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
Because they're getting that energy from you, right? Now, if you walk in and you don't even say anything or you don't even smile, but you have that positive energy within
Yeah.
you, people will walk past you and be like, hey, hi,
Yeah.
good morning, And it's because you have that good energy. And it's not to say that every once in a while you're in a bad mood and
Right.
somebody is happy and shiny at you, but
Right.
but normally if you're down, that will be the reaction you get from other people. If you're up, that's the reaction you get from other people,
Right.
And then
Right.
of course you have those people that are so down that you try to be happy and smiley and then you're just and they look at you and they're like, screw you.
Right.
I'm not happy today.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's a very small scale, yeah.
Yeah, and that is extremely true. A positive attitude is something I need to make. Going into a negative attitude is something I have to be really careful of. More careful than I call you guys normal people. Um, More than a normal person, I have to be real sensitive of going into a negative mindset because where it can take me.
Yes.
Because this disease still wants me. It's still working itself in me. It's still growing, and it wants me alone and dead. So I have to work this program every day,
And
every minute.
what would you say? Do you have a routine in the morning when you wake up? Like, do you read something, meditate, say affirmations? Do you do anything every day that kind of gets you in the right mindset for the day?
Yeah, I do a gratitude list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you read it? Like, is it the same gratitude list that you always have, or do you make a new one every day?
I try to do a new one and be creative as much as possible, but sometimes it'll repeat itself.
Yeah.
Either way, what the gratitude list does is it takes me 180 to from that. I will be honest with you, when my eyes open up, can we swear in here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I gotta tell ya, sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like, the first word out of my mouth is fuck, not another day. But I have to turn that around,
Yeah.
and it's only because I'm doing something for a living I don't like. And so I need to turn that around too eventually. We need to do everything one step at a time.
That is a very common theme with people I talk to. So many people stuck in jobs that don't fulfill them,
Wow.
aren't their passion. And and I know people are saying, well, you're simplifying it and making it seem like it's so easy by saying that, if you're working at something you don't love, you're miserable 75% of your life.
It is pretty miserable.
Yeah. And so, think about how often you work or think about work or prepare to go to work or come home and
Right.
decompress from work is 75% of your life.
Yeah.
Who wants to be miserable for that
Yeah.
long, And I just, I think we just need to have a cultural change where people start looking into what makes me happy, what's my passion that I can still make money at, right?
Yeah.
Because you were not put on this earth to be miserable. You were put on this earth to live every inch of life and to be happy and to fulfill yourself and to fill others. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
That's what we were put here to do.
Right.
So I just want more people to like go out and try to do it. And I know everyone's sitting there going, yeah, but I need my 9-to-5 job so that I can make money. Right. And that's true. But while you're doing that, start to go down avenues that, could make you happier and still make you money. There's other things. Get creative,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that alcoholism held me back from and stole from me. Alcoholism is a great remover. It takes away a lot of things from us. And one of the things is, I get into this career, I find out it's not for me. I like, don't like it. What did I do about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mhm.
But drink over it. You know what I mean?
Well,
That was
because
my solution to that was my solution. It was ridiculous. I could have found something different to do years ago. But because I was, stuck in self-pity and self-centered, all that crap that I was filled with, and decided to nurse my wounds with booze, then I lost out, you
right.
know? But today, I mean, I'm 61. I can still go do something different.
Absolutely.
I just have to research what would make me happy. What's my passion?
Yeah.
Like you said, I got to and you're the one that's giving me that gift of because it wasn't until you brought it up that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I need to find a passion.
Yeah.
I need to.
You have a passion.
Yeah.
You don't need to find a passion. You need to discover what your passion
you can
is.
do with it.
Yeah. Like, people will say like, well, I don't know what my passion is. I'm like, well, what do you love to do that you can do for 2 hours and it seems like you only did it for 5 minutes? What is something that you talk about? And when you talk about it, you get super excited and you talk a million miles a minute.
I would say it's helping another alcoholic.
Yeah.
Bringing the next alcoholic who's suffering out of the depths of hell.
Yeah.
And giving them what I have. I would love to give everybody what I was so freely given. And that I have a huge passion about. I've tried to I've worked with a lot of alcoholics. And I've gotten like a lot of positive feedback. Like, you have no idea how much you've helped me, Jane. Or I remember you telling me this.
Isn't that amazing?
Or, and the one thing you'll get from me is honesty. I don't sugarcoat shit.
No, you don't.
You can't bullshit a bullshitter. And so you're not going to try with me. And the reason why I'm going to be like that is because this is life or death.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fucking around here. If somebody relapses, that's not okay. Most people are like, that's okay, you stumbled. Get back up again. Or you slipped. Sobriety lost its, well, what's the word? Slip. Sobriety lost its, what would it be?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Sobriety lost its purpose? Sobriety lost
that's
its purpose?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Thank you. I forgot what it was. But it's not okay because you could have, I knew at one point in my recovery journey, 20 people personally die from relapsing. After a while, I quit counting. So when somebody relapses, I don't welcome back. I'm like, do you have any idea how lucky you are to be here?
Yeah.
This is life and death.
And before you were saying, which a lot of people don't say it this way, I get to, instead of I have to.
Right.
Well, we did an exercise where we started with I have to, then we changed it to I get to.
Yeah.
And then we changed it to, which seems ridiculous, I'm blessed to.
Yes.
But we were doing it with household chores, right?
Right.
And it was so funny how your mindset changes. Like, I was just thinking these people, like, you're blessed to get a second chance, right?
Right.
And, but, it's funny how you say, like, I have to do the laundry. I have to go pick up the dog poop, right? And then you're like, well, I get to do laundry.
Yeah.
I get to pick up the dog poop. And then when you say, I am blessed to do the laundry, it actually kind of makes you laugh at first, right? Because you're like, okay, that seems a little ridiculous, okay?
Right.
But then you realize when you say that, you start to think about, okay, why am I blessed to do the laundry? Why am I blessed to go pick up dog poop? And I'll tell you why you're blessed, because guess what? You have clothes and a washing machine.
And you get to
You've
have
got
a puppy
roof,
dog.
You have a roof over your head. You get to have a dog that loves you
Right.
unconditionally. And that's the stuff that, like those simple changes in language and mindset is huge. And we're all, like you said, we're all going to slip up, right?
Yeah.
We don't all have perfect days.
No.
We can't all wake up and, go,
No.
hey, yay, today's another day.
Yeah.
But it's realizing and catching yourself in that moment that you say, oh, fuck, I'm alive again today.
Yeah.
just catching yourself for that brief moment and going, okay, no.
Yeah, we're
Change,
not going there.
change the
That's
script, change the
that's
script
old
in my head.
thinking.
Right. Yeah.
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 And I got to change that. And that's why I say gratitude. You know, we talk about what's called emotional sobriety. You know, say for instance, I'm driving down the road and I blow a tire and I have to pull over and I got to change the tire. There's a couple ways I can react to that. And that's something like, how do I react to life? Is my emotion matching up with the situation?
Right.
Right? And so I can get out of the car, I can swear, scream, kick the tire, start crying, throw my phone. I can do all that. Or I can get out of the car and fix the goddamn tire.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But so that tells me who, am I emotionally sober right now? No, you're not, because you're losing your shit over a flat tire.
Right. Now, it is perfectly acceptable when you get a flat tire in the middle of the freeway on a rainy day or blazing hot day or whatever to go, fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's
but then get over it.
cool.
You know what I'm saying? Like just say it, swear whatever your swear word's going to be, and then just take a deep breath and go do it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm not saying that you should oh, I have a flat tire. God, isn't this the best thing that's ever happened to me? It's not. I mean, we all realize it's not the best thing, but your reaction doesn't have to be this big. Your
Right.
reaction
It should match what's going on.
Right.
It should be at that level.
Yeah.
Now, something really tragic happens. Go ahead, throw your body on the ground and cry. I get that.
Right.
But not over spilt milk.
No. No.
And as a prior to recovery, that's where I was.
Yeah.
I literally, made mountains out of molehills. I literally fell apart when it really didn't matter in the scheme of life. At the end of the day, who gives a shit? But
Right.
there I would be freaking out over, and next thing you know, where does that take me? Takes me to a dark place, which takes me to alcohol, because then I don't have to feel anymore.
Right. Right.
And that's what I love about alcoholism. I don't love alcohol. Let me reword that. I hate alcoholism with a passion. But what I love about alcoholics in recovery is they have courage. It took a lot of courage because they don't know what it's like to be sober.
Mhm.
And it's not just being sober. It's like, I don't even know how to deal with this world. I'm going to work right now. How am I going to do this sober? Or I'm going to a party right now. How am I going to do this sober? I couldn't fly sober. People fly sober. It's normal. People go to the grocery store sober. They do their laundry sober. I couldn't do that. It took a lot of, I know it sounds ridiculous to a normal person. It's like, Jesus Christ. You can't even do laundry. No, I can't. Because I just can't.
Yeah.
And so it takes a lot of courage to be at the bottom of the barrel with nothing and crawl out of there.
Right.
And to ask for help.
Yeah.
Put your hand out, reach it out and say, I can't do this alone. It's true.
Right.
I need a community in recovery.
And do you find that most people have to reach out to, say people in a recovery program, rather than to their best friend or to their wife or to
That's an incredibly good question, because usually the first people they'll reach out to are normies. Okay, because that's all they know.
Right.
But a normie really can't help you because they really don't know what you're going through. They really don't understand. They're thinking, well, you have a really good life. Why can't you just quit? That's the mind of a normie. They don't understand. Like you said earlier, this has got to be her bottom.
Right.
For you, that's a terrible place to be. For that alcoholic, it's hard to scare an alcoholic. It's you can tell me, you're gonna die, you're gonna lose your job, you're gonna lose your kids. Really? Tell me about it.
Right.
You know? So
Well,
what?
and especially when you got to the point where you didn't even want to live anymore.
Right.
And
It gets
you're
down to
like,
that.
so who cares, you know?
Yeah. It's just because. But no, I highly suggest you go to someone who has experience or has had the experience of being in the depths of hell of the disease and coming out of it into recovery, having somebody with that kind of experience.
What do you say to people who, the normies? Okay, so say you're my best friend
Yeah.
and you come to me and you say, Betsy, I need help.
Right.
I should say what? I should say, I want to help you and I'll be here to support you, but I need you to go
I need
to
to
blank.
direct you.
Direct you to blank.
Yeah.
Where is that place going to be? Because here's the thing, they might say, well, I don't want to go with a bunch of alcoholics and those people are so far, because I don't know, but if you ever had this feeling that they're so much worse than me.
They were.
Yeah. And
in the beginning.
right. And you know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
and so these people are going to say, well, yeah, I don't really fit in there because I'm not that bad,
That
you know. So what would you tell people? Like what would I as a best friend say, like, I'm here to support you, but I need to direct you because this is out of my wheelhouse, you know.
Well, exactly what you just said. This is out of my wheelhouse. Is explain to them that I don't have the expertise to help you. This is a disease and illness. You need to be with people who are knowledgeable about this illness, who've actually experienced it for themselves. Because you know, I have to be careful on what I say here because I have to remember, respect the anonymity. But, the best thing they ever came up with was one alcoholic helping another.
So,
You know?
okay. So say you find a recovery program
Uh-huh.
and there's lots of them in this country, right?
Right?
So as a best friend, I'm going to say, like, hey, let's look at recovery programs.
Right.
Can they have, instead of going to the proverbial group meeting and, now you're having to say your name and I am an alcoholic, right? Can you have like a one-on-one consultation with somebody so it's not so intimidating?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I think the only way you could maybe have a one-on-one, without outing yourself would be researching a therapist or counselor who
Well, I'm saying it's
specializes in alcohol addiction.
right. But what I'm saying is it's okay. Like it's okay to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm an alcoholic, but not to have to do it in front of a group for the first time. Like, is there someone at those recovery programs where you could call,
Yeah,
say,
I
you know what
think-
I'm saying?
I think if you called their main office, and said that they would probably usually alcoholics won't meet up with another alcoholic on their own because it could be dangerous. So I'm not sure if you'd be lucky to get a one-on-one, but you could get a two-on-one, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But
Or
that's
even
a
like
really good question. I've never really.
because it seems less daunting and less intimidating to, like, okay, let's just sit down and have, like I said, a consultation of sorts.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. I asked my best friend for help and I know that she's not equipped to give it to me.
Right.
And so I'm trying to find what is the best program for me or what are the best next steps that I take.
Right.
And maybe it could be a Zoom call with, like you said, the alcoholic, and the two recovering alcoholics, where it's not even, it doesn't even have to be in person.
Well,
It could just be,
That's a super good question. Like I said, I don't have that answer 100%. I do belong to a recovery program that someone can direct message me if
Okay.
they'd like. And
Oh,
I
okay.
can do that.
okay.
But on the
How
outside,
would they know how to get your number to direct, or is it on social media? How would they direct message you? How would they know?
I would have to see them first and see their question
Okay.
And then I would say, go ahead and you can direct message me.
Oh, okay.
I'll be
Okay.
happy to talk with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's basically a social media group.
Right, but I'd
That-
be happy to talk with you one-on-one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But we do get people who think they have the disease and they're an alcoholic who are not. There's a fine line between a hard drinker and an alcoholic. And the only difference is the hard drinker, you know, he can end up in the hospital, lose his job, all these terrible things. But he can quit on his own. Where an alcoholic can't.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
No, so because I've said, and I am not, versed in this or have any kind of degree, but I always thought like I would see people who are hard drinkers, as you say.
Right.
Okay. And they'd be like, oh, I'm not going to drink for a week, or I'm not going to drink for 3 weeks, or I'm going to have a sober month or whatever. And they always felt like the need to tell everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I always felt like that was done to prove to everybody, like to themselves and everybody else, like I'm not an alcoholic because
Right.
I can stop for a week.
Right.
But then they go right back to it and they're the same drinker they were before. So,
Or worse.
yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I
That's
always just,
usually probably an alcoholic.
okay.
But I've seen, read, and heard about people who you might think, oh, dude, that guy he's definitely an alcoholic. Turns out the guy's not an alcoholic. He was just a really hard drinker. My ex-husband was a hard drinker, and people did say, don't you think he's an alcoholic? I said, no. And I didn't even know what a hard drinker, the difference was, but I think I knew it because I knew who I was.
So is it the difference between needing it, being addicted to it, and just really drinking hard and enjoying it, and that's why they can
Yeah.
stop at any time,
Yeah,
because
they
they're
don't
just
have-
like, I don't need it.
They
So
don't
if I,
have what's called the phenomena of craving.
okay,
Okay, so like they could probably they can go that week or that month, or they might be able to moderate. That's just a hard drinker. An alcoholic can't moderate.
okay,
And in the program I'm in, we'll get people that are like, no, I just want to learn how to moderate. Well, you're in the wrong group because we don't have a clue how to do that.
right,
You're going to go ask somebody else who knows how to moderate. But, you're barking up the wrong tree here, buddy. We're alcoholics, hardcore,
yeah,
We don't know what moderation. If I knew what moderation was, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
right, right.
So, yeah, it's funny. People do come in and ask a bunch of alcoholics how to moderate. That's like me going to an Overeaters Anonymous and saying, how do I just have one piece of pie?
Right.
They don't, right?
They're like, well, we've always just eaten the entire pie.
Right?
Once we start.
Yeah, it's like, but when we get those, it cracks me up. And I have come back and asked, are you seriously asking an alcoholic how to moderate right now? This is who you've come to for advice.
Is there a possibility too that they could be alcoholics, but because the fear of giving it up is too much, so they're like, they have that dream that somehow they're going to moderate it, and then they won't have to give it up.
Sure, that's our first thought. Remember, I went to the liquor store and bought the 4 bottles of wine.
Right, that was moderation.
That was my moderation. That was me moderating. Sure, that person definitely could be an alcoholic.
Because you didn't buy 16 in one trip, you only bought 4.
That's right, only 4.
Yeah.
I've been kicked out of liquor stores. I don't know how you do that. Literally have been cut off by a liquor store.
I've never heard of that.
We're not serving you today. Because they'll see me. What do they care?
Right.
They're selling it. It's their livelihood. But man, I'll tell you a quick story. This will tell you how bad I needed alcohol. That when I pulled into a liquor store, and if you pulled in somewhat at the same time I did, I kept an eye on you. Because if you got out of your vehicle and walked ahead of me, that would stress me out because you're going to hold me up.
Oh.
All
Like you
right.
had to get it faster
I
than
might
they
have
got
to
it.
wait behind you, or you're holding me up. Then I went into a liquor store. I had to have it so bad that while I was in line, which is stressing me out, because I gotta wait, I gotta have this, and I couldn't wait another minute. So I opened it up, took a nice swig of it, just so I could feel better. I couldn't wait to get out of the liquor store to do it. And the manager of the liquor store comes running over and he's like, "Hey, you can't do that." And I'm like, "I'm buying it." And he's like, "Come over here." I'm like, walking, and I'm like, "This guy's killing me because he's keeping me from my booze." And
Yep.
that's all I'm thinking. Not that I'm getting in trouble
Right.
or what I'm doing is completely out of line. I'm like, "You're keeping me from my booze." That's all I can think of. And I'm like, "I'm paying for it. What does it matter?"
Right.
And he's like, "Give that to me and get out." Well, the guy kind of screwed himself because now he's got an open bottle of Fireball he can't sell that I was perfectly happy to pay for. But the moral of the story is that's how bad I had to have it.
Right.
That I couldn't even wait like a lady till I left and got home. That was the other thing. It amazes me that somebody can go to a liquor store, buy booze, and wait till they get home to open it up.
Yeah.
Oh no, sunshine, we get in the car and we right?
Right.
And that's another thing I'm grateful for. I'm not a danger to society anymore like I used to be.
Right.
You
Aren't
know?
aren't you so grateful that you never hurt anybody?
Oh my God, I'm beyond grateful. And the thing is, I have a huge passion for mothers of drunk drivers. Um, that's not acceptable to me. And somebody said, "How can you say you did it?" I said, "It's still not acceptable
Right.
to me.
Just because I did it doesn't mean I
What
think
I
it's
did
right.
was wrong. By the grace of God, I didn't hurt anybody." And I got a DUI. And a year later, I saw the police officer, and I was sober. And I said, I was driving with a friend, and the neighbor had stopped the car. She's like, "What's going on?" I said, "That's the cop that arrested me for DUI." She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I gotta go thank him." And I went up to him and I said, "Hi, I don't know if you remember me." And he's like, "Oh no, I remember you." And I was like, "Okay, good." He
Unforgettable.
goes, "You're looking a little better, but I remember you." And I said, "Well, great, because I want to thank you. I want to thank you for getting me off the road because you saved my life and you saved some other innocent life."
Yeah.
And I said, "Do you mind, sir, if I give you a hug?" And he said, "Yeah, you can." And they don't get that kind of reaction every day from people.
Right. Yeah.
And I have no patience for drinking and driving.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
It's there's no need. We have Uber too.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's like you've got access now
Right.
to, I mean, probably not in every single community if you're out in the sticks, but I mean, pretty much now in every community, you can get Uber, and it's not, and if you can't, if you can't afford Uber, then you shouldn't be drinking.
The reason I didn't call an Uber, I was in a blackout. One of the many reasons I don't pick up today is because I could drink and drive again. Because I do it in a blackout.
Oh.
I don't remember leaving my home. I don't remember getting in the car. I do remember when the police officer, I was parked when they found me. I remember him knocking and blurbs of getting arrested and taken to jail, just a little bit here and there. I don't remember, but I did it in a blackout, complete blackout.
So how did, so if you're parked, how did somebody call
How
you
do I
in?
get arrested?
Yeah, like how did they know
I
you
got
were drunk?
called in.
Somebody called you in. Okay.
Yeah, what I was doing was I was showing my home and apparently got a call that they wanted to see my house. And I left the house and I was maybe just going to go park. But apparently I went up the street and around. I was so drunk and in a blackout. Came back, I did find myself parked by the side of my house. Seatbelt on, car running. You're guilty. Get the hell out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. And by the grace of God. Yeah, the punishment for it, I don't know. I just, like I said, it's terrible. When I hear about someone being killed or injured by a drunk driver, I get real upset.
Yeah.
I get real upset.
I was in the middle of the day following behind. It was a like a custom flooring van.
Okay.
And nowadays with texting and driving, you always have to wonder, like the first swerve or the first, like drift, you have to kind of like, okay, are they texting or whatever.
Right.
So he went like over the center line, then back over way onto the shoulder, almost to, those cement median strips or whatever that they have barricades in between and we're on the freeway. Okay. So
Right.
we're going like 70, 75. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, I'm going to follow this guy and watch him. And he kept doing it. I'm like, nope, there's no way. He's just texting because, I mean, literally cars were having to get out of his way.
Yeah,
and,
that's a little far to swerve with if you're alert.
Right, exactly. And so so I called 911 and I followed behind him and I'm like, okay, now he's getting off on this exit. And it was I couldn't decide if he could if he figured out, I think he figured out I was following him and he was maybe trying to get rid of me.
Right.
But like he sat and I said he just sat through an entire green light. Like I'm sitting here with him and people
he's so drunk.
Yeah, and I'm like, people are honking at us. I'm like, but I'm gonna stay with him because I want to see where he goes.
You.
And so when we got back on the freeway, he got off the freeway and then back on.
Oh, man.
And so I'm like, damn. And so then he got off again. I'm still following him. And I'm like, where are you guys? I'm like, we're in a populated area. You should have cops, like squad cars everywhere. And I'm telling you exactly where we are, right? And so so we get off. We go into this industrial park, okay? And at this point, 911's like, just keep your distance, because you don't know, And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to stay here until you guys get here. Well, went into where they must have flooring supplies or something, right?
Right.
Opened up a garage door. The van goes inside. They close the garage door.
He's gonna get away with it.
And I told 911, I'm like, okay, they just opened a garage door for him. He just went into the garage, closed the garage door behind him. And so anyway, so I waited until the police showed up and then I left. Okay. Well, they have all my information. So the officer calls me and this was total bullshit. Total bullshit. And I know this in my inner being, okay?
Yeah.
He said, oh, thank you so much because he was having a medical problem. And you saved...
And you bought that?
And he said, and you saved his life. Because, he was, lightheaded or whatever it was. He was going to, I'm like, no. I said, like he got off the freeway and back on. And, if you had a medical problem... You would pull over
and stay there
and call 911 or a friend or something, right? You don't go and hide in a garage. You don't go like, hey, quick, open up the garage and like pull in and then close the garage behind you, And so I don't know if there's two things that could have happened. Either the cop was covering it up or they covered it up. They could have hidden the drunk driver and brought some other guy out who told a story about, whatever. But I was so deflated after that because I was late I was coaching volleyball at the time. And I'm like, I know I'm going to be late, but I don't care. I'm like, I'm following this person until the cops and, hopefully they don't hurt anybody, whatever. And I went through all of that to, hopefully do something good.
Yeah. Right.
Only to have it completely erased by either somebody, hiding him or the cops covering it up. And I don't know what it was. I'm really hoping it wasn't the cops, but who knows? It was a really disheartening situation.
I'm thinking they did a switch. I would hope the cops wouldn't do something like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm grateful that we have them on the road. And like I said, I was grateful to the officer who, stopped me from...
But it was okay. So it was, like I said, a commercial custom flooring place.
Yeah.
Okay. I gave them the license plate. I had video. I took video of him on the freeway swerving all over.
Yeah.
Everything. They could have asked me for all of that. They had the license plate.
Yeah.
So all they needed to do was call the business and say, listen, I want to know who your driver is today.
And they have a list.
Right.
Yeah.
Who is your driver today at this time? And demand that you see that person and get their ID and assess them. I mean, I just have a really hard time believing that person was having a medical problem, because if they were having a medical problem, lightheaded or whatever, like we said, you would have pulled over and stayed over.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is sad because I have heard of a lot of people who have a problem with alcohol. I can't call anybody an alcoholic, really, who have gotten away, totaled vehicles, ended up in the hospital. I'm like, and you've been arrested correctly, correct, and they're like, oh yeah, no, really, dude, I was parked.
yeah, but I mean, again, saved your life. I mean,
Well, you
eventually,
bet,
and saved
you
somebody
bet.
else's life. So, I
bet.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, there needs to be
All right.
I personally, and then we'll stop talking about the DUI.
Yeah, well,
I would like, there's a thing, it's called interlock, and you have to blow in it
Yep,
for your
yep.
car to start. Every fucking vehicle should have that.
Yeah.
Well, we have seatbelts.
Well, in other Yeah.
Start your vehicle.
in other countries, they have pop-up breathalyzers.
Yeah.
So you get rerouted off the road and you pull over and you have to get a breathalyzer to keep going. I don't know that would ever get past. I mean, the gridlock you could cause.
No,
That
the
would be-
interlocks they have here in the
Yeah.
United States, you can continue driving and blow in it.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yep.
how
Now,
do we want to wrap this up?
well, I want to real quick. I want you to tell me. So, so after you get the cancer diagnosis, we didn't really dive into that much as far as.
How
Did
am I
you-
feeling about that?
Well, did you at that point say just fuck it, I'm going to drink again?
No.
Okay. So there was no point you've
No,
now.
actually, by the grace of God, for me, what I believe is my higher power, in which I choose to call God, lifted the obsession from me way before I was diagnosed with cancer, because it never crossed my mind to drink. Remember, my first
Right.
reaction was to run to my girls
Yes.
and to live my life, the end of my life, with my girl.
Yes.
And today, anytime I can have something really terrible. I've had, some really shitty things happen in the last 5 years. Never does it cross my mind to drink.
Yeah, that's
It's
amazing.
like,
That's what I was asking, because I mean, I know you have
No.
all these tools in place now that to help you, in the right mindset and everything. But yeah, I mean,
Never does it cross the obsession has been lifted. I don't obsess about alcohol. It doesn't cross my mind. I was held up in the airport to come here to Wisconsin, and they did a 4-hour layover. It did cross my mind. Thank God I'm not drinking, because airports were my main. I thought,
Right.
like I said, I thought you had to drink to fly. I didn't
Right.
think anyone flew sober. But by the grace of God, yeah, I didn't drink and didn't have to drink. I could be here sober, and yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
been lifted.
and I do have to tell a story. So we had she's in town because we had our mom's celebration of life.
Oh,
And so hosted it at my house, and I got a big speaker and, that you can hook a microphone up to. So we did a lot of dancing and singing when we were kids. And
yeah,
so,
good times.
yeah. So our song came on and we're all, singing, dancing, and Jane's up there at first. And then she literally said to us, "You guys, I can't do this. I don't drink anymore. I can't do this." And she started to walk off what we called our stage, which is just our patio. And all of a sudden she's like, "Wait a minute."
Give me that goddamn microphone.
And guess who had the microphone the rest of the night?
That's right. Bring it on.
So yeah, I mean, you partied and had a blast,
I had a great time.
completely sober.
I know. I did that sober, and I told my buddies that are alcoholics too. I said, "You're not going to believe this, but I was karaokeing last night and sober," and they're like, "That's okay, Jane. We can do a lot of things sober now." And I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Right.
I
But
can do a
and
lot of
that's
things sober.
but that's great for people to hear. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
like your first reaction, I can't do this because I don't drink. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, like, oh, I'll do karaoke, but not until like I've had like
Yeah,
3
give
or
me
4
some
drinks,
liquid courage up there.
Yeah. And so anyway, I talk about these self-development, seminars
Right.
that we go to, okay? And one Sunday afternoon, we're all dancing like maniacs, okay, at 2 p.m, completely sober,
Right.
okay? And I started laughing and I said, if you told a lot of your friends right now that we all were dancing like maniacs at 2 p.m. sober on a
Right.
Sunday in a conference room in a hotel,
Yeah.
they'd all be like, no, you aren't. Really?
y'all
No.
lost
Yeah,
your
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. And it's like, no, you can. I mean, it's funny how,
That's a great thing to bring up, Betsy. That's huge. I'm glad you brought that up because so many people think, oh shit, what kind of life am I going to have being sober?
right.
I can't go to weddings anymore. I can't go out with my friends. I can't. And it's so ridiculous. It's hilarious sometimes when I hear that from a newcomer because I'm like, dude, you aren't doing shit anyway. You know what I mean?
Right. What were you really doing? Yeah.
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 You're going to do so much that you used to do and more sober.
Yeah.
And, I just lost yeah, we're not stupid, boring, and glum people.
No.
We are funny motherfuckers.
Well,
We
you've been
really
through a lot.
are.
That builds character.
we as tragic as it's been, there's some funny shit we pull. We do some crazy shit. We're not normal. Remember, you're the normie, I'm the alcoholic. There's a difference, a huge difference. Who does that?
There's a group that plays volleyball downtown, and a sand volleyball, and they have shirts that say, and I wish I could remember what it is, but it's something like sober and social or something like that, basically saying that they're this group of people that get together and do fun social things sober.
They have a thing, and I think I can mention this. They have the Phoenix. I don't know. I know it's called Phoenix something, but it's purposely like you join it and you can go rock climbing, you can go biking, you can go bowling. It's a community, and it's actually a building. I know they have one in Denver.
Okay.
And I don't know if they have them all around the United States, but it's for you to socialize because it's harder for younger people
Yeah.
to get sober and stay sober because that's pretty much what we're doing when we're young. It's
Right.
a lot easier for older because people get older, they don't drink that much anymore and care about it. So it's good for young people to meet other sober people.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's way cool.
All right, well,
It's still being sober.
sober's cool.
Sober, fuck is cool.
It's cool as fuck. It's
Right.
that one. All right, well, okay, so let's wrap it up
Okay.
with you're going to find a job helping alcoholics. We're going to work on that.
Yeah, we're going to do something. It might
Yeah.
not be a job, but, I'll find a job on the side. I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I got to do something.
Yeah, find something that's fulfilling and something that makes you happy, and yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on.
Thank you so much. You had some great questions. Good for you.
Why, thank you. I know
Yeah.
everybody's always like, so we're just doing this? I'm like, yeah, we're just doing it.
No,
I don't have an
we
outline.
get to do it.
We get to do this.
We get to do it.
This
It's
is
been
this
fun.
is how many notes I take beforehand. No, I
Right.
do, some of them I do take notes, but no, I did not take notes for this or for Carl's.
And
Okay, so I want you to speak to anybody out there that thinks that they can't do it. What would you say to them? Getting sober, that is.
if I can do it, you can do it.
And what would you say to the friend, the wife, the child who is suffering in a relationship with an alcoholic?
That's another really good question. I would have to explain to them that it's an illness and th- every thought, every decision that's being made is being controlled by the disease and by alcohol. Um, Things I did under the influence of alcohol wouldn't even cross my mind sober.
Yeah.
And that he or she loves you more than life itself, to the moon and back, loves you and does not want to hurt you. That is not the intention. But this person is very ill right now and needs help.
Yeah.
And this person would do anything to make it right. But this disease is, it's cunning, it's powerful, it's baffling, and it's something that you're going to have to seek help for too, because it's a family illness.
Yeah.
It affects everyone. And for you, right now, I would suggest a program for the family members, which they have them out there, so you can take care of you. And it's about you. It's not a program where you go cry and complain about your alcoholic member of your family or loved one. It's about where you nurture yourself and
Yeah.
you learn how to survive this disease, because this disease is affecting you.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Can I can probably search out some of those and put them in show notes. Just programs for family
people.
members of alcoholics
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find some. And please, if you're listening right now and you know of some good programs that are either national or local in your area, please, please, please let me know.
Yeah.
Send them in the comments, because I really, would love to get the word out there for people that are
There's
struggling and don't know where to
a lot
go.
of help for the victims of alcoholics.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard it put that way, but they're victims of this disease,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and it's, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your story.
You're so welcome. It was so much fun.
I know. And do you remember when you used to always say that you wanted to have your own talk show?
No, it wasn't me. It was Cindy.
Oh, Cindy wanted
What
it.
Cindy
Our
said
other
was,
sister.
Jane, I'm thinking about having my own talk show, and I'd like you to be the first guest. It's called What Were You Thinking?
That might be the next podcast you guys see is
Yeah.
Cindy and Jane is What Were You Thinking?
What were you thinking? And for me, if I had a title of a book, it would be called You Can't Make This Shit Up.
You should write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and I will say this real quick, is that for those of you who are still suffering from alcoholism, there is help. There is hope. You can live a really good life if you decide to. There's help out there. And the thing is, it just left my brain. For people who are still suffering, what was I gonna say? I'm so sorry. It'll come to me.
Oh, no,
in
that's
a
okay.
second. I was just thinking.
Is it a
something.
saying?
I was gonna say this. I'm sorry. Two deadly diseases, right? Battling cancer and alcoholism. Both of them deadly diseases. Which one was harder for me to battle? Alcoholism.
Yeah.
I'd take cancer over that disease any day of the week. Oh, joy. I get to pick between alcoholism and cancer.
You
can't make
are
this shit up.
blessed. You are blessed.
I get to.
So blessed to choose between those
That's
two.
right. That's right. I get to do
gosh.
both.
How did you get so lucky?
Double whammy.
Right.
Yay.
Well, the next chapter is going to be even better, because think of how resilient you'll be.
Right.
I mean, you're going to be
Nothing
unstoppable.
can get through me.
Like Teflon Jane.
That's right.
Hits me and just beads right up. Oh, we should go.
Good times.
I know. Good times. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, everybody. Please follow, subscribe. That helps me get the word out there. And for sure today, if something that we talked about today really just hit home for you and you'd like more information, or you have information for me, please put it in the comments, message me, and I will get it out to everybody. So thank you so much. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Betsy.
I love you.
Thank everybody.
I love you so much.
I love you too. You're a beautiful human being.
You are too.
I'm blessed to have you as my sister.
Me too.
And I mean that.
I know, I do too.
I mean that.
I do too.
That's right.
Okay. Anyway, we didn't cry once.
No, we were
I know.
amazing.
I did come close a couple times, but we're okay. All right. Goodbye, everyone.